Hello and welcome back for another edition of Thursdays with Sin. I'm so glad to have you here, and I'm excited to share with you today some of my personal thoughts, and hopefully they will motivate and inspire you to take just one small step towards your own entrepreneurial journey. Okay, now today's topic is called Holy Guacamole. Now, what in the world could guacamole have to do with business? Well, actually, a lot. So I'm going to show you how those two things correlate here in just a second. So let's really jump right into it and get going. Now, I want to tell you a little story about myself when I was young and how much of a picky eater I was. I mean, it was terrible. My poor mother, I cannot imagine the pain she went through. I don't know how I stayed alive, honestly, because I was such a picky eater. So, it's really weird because everything that I saw everyone else eat, I thought was weird and crazy. But there was one thing that I always ate that everybody thought I was the weird and crazy one. And that was actually, I like diced tomatoes on my hot dogs. Nothing else, just diced tomatoes. I actually still eat that to this day. That's one of my favorite things to eat. I don't eat it very often, but when I do go to a cookout, then that is my go-to tomatoes on my hot dog. So I love it. So, I mean, that's not too crazy. I guess you think about ketchup on a hot dog, but I hate ketchup. Ketchup, French fries is the only time I eat ketchup. So anyway, just one of those weird kind of quirky things. But I never really liked vegetables either growing up. I mean, I know a lot of kids probably don't, but I was probably to the extreme, whereas like, no, vegetables are not my thing. So, now that I'm an adult, many years later, I have come to love vegetables. And, there are probably very, very few that I actually don't like. Now, one of the things that I now absolutely love and eat almost every single day is guacamole. So I love avocados. They're healthy, they taste good, and I just love them. I absolutely love them. Now, another reason for that is because we have this killer Mexican restaurant right near our home, and we go pretty often. And they make a fabulous homemade guacamole right in front of you. And it's fun. It's a great experience. And again, it just tastes simply delicious. So, also, I have friends that whenever they invite us over for dinner, they make it as well. And so it's always a dish that's constantly being served. And I've just come, to really, really love it in my last few years. Now, I didn't always love it. Actually, I pretty much hated it originally. And it's only been within the last probably 10 years that I really started eating it. So it all goes back to being at a friend's house years and years and years ago. Literally, this was probably 30 years ago, at least. Yes, 30 or 35 years ago, we'll even say. And she was having a little get together and she had fixed some homemade guacamole. And she was digging into it and eating it and ranting and raving about how wonderful it was and how great it tasted and just going nuts over this guacamole, right? And I'm like, that's whatever. And everybody else at the party was digging into it and eating it too. Oh my gosh, this is fabulous. You did such a great job. And the bowl disappeared in minutes. I mean, literally. And I'm standing over here kind of looking at everybody and I'm like, sorry, but that looks like something the cat just barfed up. No way. I'm not touching it. So anyway, it pretty much looked disgusting. And I just thought, pure yuck. I could not even, no, I wasn't even interested in even trying it. So now that I look back, this many years later, now that I look back and I think about how I feel about guacamole now, and that it's one of my absolute favorite things to eat, right? So, how did I get from point A to point B? And really, let's just analyze that whole thing and, just think about it for just a minute. So, what I came to realize is that I had wasted all these years missing out on something that I truly enjoy that is so wonderful to me now, simply because I was so stubborn that I wouldn't even taste it. right? So I just made up my mind. Nope, don't like the looks of it. Don't care how it tastes. Not going to even try it. And I just missed out on that whole experience just because in my mind I'm like, no, not going to do it. And I was so stubborn I wouldn't even try it, right? So, I used my lifetime attitude of being a picky eater and, those ways and that methodology, and I allowed myself to continue in that same thought process or that same role, which stopped me from enjoying something that now is so truly wonderful to myself, right? So, what I want you to do is to think about that and how sometimes we are our own worst enemies, truly. We make decisions that affect us in a very large way without truly considering the consequences. So let's take that whole experience and that whole guacamole scenario and apply it to something more serious. So let's apply that to our business and how we make decisions for our business now. So I want you to consider this. Are the decisions that you are making as an entrepreneur fully thought out? Are you weighing the pros and cons and objectively analyzing how your decisions that you're making is going to impact your business, both short term and long term? Or are you allowing your preconceived notions to guide you in your decision making with no regard for the true facts surrounding the issue? Okay, so really think about that for a minute. I can honestly say that making business decisions based on my personal judgment without fact-based analysis has gotten me into trouble in the past multiple times. All right, I've made some very bad business decisions, and it has cost me not only precious time and a lot of money, but tons of frustration. Tons of frustration, right? Even worse than the money. The money was bad, but the frustration was even worse. So I can see very clearly the parallels between my picky eater guacamole story and those bad business decisions because they were based on the same methodology of perception and how I just base my decisions in general. So if you think about it, we're all creatures of habit, right? So we apply the same principles and techniques of decision-making practices regardless if it's about the difference about food or if it's about your business, because we operate typically one way. And that's not good. That is not good at all. So I challenge you to examine your own history and see if you can find any correlation at all between how you make decisions in your personal life and how you make decisions about your business opportunities. And I bet you will find some similarities. Now, every single time, every day, when I put a bite of guacamole in my mouth, instantly I am reminded all those years that I was so stubborn that I wouldn't even try it. And I think about all that time that was wasted simply because I was so stubborn and that I could be enjoying it. I could have enjoyed it all these years and all that time was wasted it on something that I truly love now. Look at what I missed out on. Yeah, it's a simple analogy, it's just guacamole, but at the same time, when you put it into perspective of what I did to myself and how I sabotaged myself and my enjoyment over this food that I now truly love, I mean, I did nothing but sabotage my own self and shoot my own self in the foot, right? With those, again, preconceived notions that allowed me to make those decisions that were not fact-based analysis. Okay, So that is a great reminder to myself to always question why. Why am I making this decision? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I have a natural tendency to instantly make a decision before I even investigate the possibilities, right? So now when I'm presented with a decision that needs to be made, I recognize that I instantly have an opinion about that, and without conducting valid research and to really think about it and analyze it. And that's when I stop myself and I ask myself why. I continue asking myself why until I really understand the whole root cause behind it. And I just try to determine, why do I feel this way? Because that's when I can catch myself from falling into those same uneducated and potentially dangerous decision-making pitfalls from my past. So being able to recognize that incompetence, and if you really think about it, that's exactly what it is. It is true mental incompetence that allows me to stop right at that moment and readjust my line of thinking and avoid any future mistake by using a more appropriate research methods, again, that are backed by fact-based analysis. And I can come up with a much better conclusion, and that allows me to have a methodical, well thought out, planned response versus an off the cuff, not putting any thought into it whatsoever, that's always got me in trouble in the past, right? So I hope this makes sense and that you can apply the scenario into your own life. And I hope it helps you make better decisions, whether personal life or even in your business. So I want to hear from you. Give me your thoughts on how you feel about today's topic and how it might relate to you in your personal decision-making process or even in your business making decisions. So if you'd like to learn more about what I do as an e-commerce business manager, then I invite you to join my free Facebook group. It's called Ecom, E-C-O-M-M, Business Management Community. And you can also check out my website, cynmeadows.com. That's C-Y-N meadows.com. We have tons of free training on there. We have lots of motivational videos just like this one. We also have free training that you can take. And you can also explore how to become an e-commerce business manager yourself. So, and that all revolves around starting a risk-free e-commerce business. So it's a wonderful opportunity. So check out my website. You'll learn a lot about that. So that's it for today. I encourage you to go check out that. And again, let me know how you feel about today's subject. Holy guacamole. It's made a huge difference in my life and the way that I conduct my decision-making process now for even personal and even my business. So thank